Welcome to lesson 3 in our basic guitar setup series. In this video, we're going to talk about how to set the string height or string action of your electric guitar. In the first video, we talked about the tools that you're going to need to do all of this setup work. In the second video, we talked about how to set the neck relief or the truss rod adjustment. If you want to see those videos, there is a link below where you can go to Worship Tutorials. You can sign up for this course 100% free. Got links to all the tools that you'll need there, and you see all the lessons laid out in this course so you can follow along easily and make your guitars play awesome. So we've already done the neck relief, so the next step is, and it's important that you do these in sequence, the next step is string height or string action, and this is going to have the largest impact on how well your guitar plays. You can't set this right if your neck relief isn't set right. The other thing about this is if your guitar, if your neck, if the frets are not level on the neck, you won't be able to set this optimally as well. So you need to make sure that the frets are level. If the frets aren't level, then you're gonna probably want to take it to somebody who knows what they're doing to do a fret level on your guitar. And I'm gonna set this up to basic Fender spec, which is kind of where I like all my guitars to live, which is the low E string. I like to be 4/64 of an inch off the 12th fret, and the high E string I like to be around 3/64 of an inch off the 12th fret. That makes a guitar play really nicely. And usually if the guitar is well made, like I said, if the frets are all level, you can go all the way up and down the neck and it won't fret out or buzz or anything like that. So there are a few tools that you will need to do this. The first tool is this string action gauge, super handy tool to have, and it just lets you take precise measurements on pretty much anything on the guitar. So what you'll use it for in this case is to measure string height, and I'm just looking at it right now. It is sitting right at 4/64 on top of the 12th fret on the low E string, so that's pretty much perfect. So you'll need this, and then to make these adjustments, you'll make the adjustments at the saddle or on the saddles of your guitar on the bridge. So different bridges will use different tools. This one, I need a small flathead screwdriver, so I'm going to use my precision screwdriver kit. Let me grab the one that I want. So in this case, I've got my little precision driver set up with a very small flathead. It's actually bent. It looks like I used this thing for a job that was a little bigger than what this could handle. But this will work in this case. If we need to make any adjustments to the saddles, you can do it here. There are other tools that you can use. It's like a fret. Like, so your different guitars have different radiuses. That's the curve of, the actual curve of the fretboard, like this. Some are flatter than others, so you can use like a radius level tool. But the way I like to do it is if you just set every string to be about the same height on top of the 12th fret, you will kind of set that radius naturally and it'll play just right. So it's a pretty simple process. You just take your string action gauge and you look and see it's right at 4/64. I'm going to lower it a little just to see if I can get away with a little bit lower action. So I'm just going to lower the saddles slightly. So that's right above 3/64 of an inch. That's pretty low action for a low E string. You want to do this while your guitar is tuned to pitch. So I lowered it so it got a little lower. The A string needs to come up just a little bit. So I'll raise it just slightly. Check that out. Perfect. Okay. The D string is right at 4/64. Let me try lowering it just a little bit. I'm gonna see if I can get away with really low action on this guitar, just as an experiment. Perfect. Right below 4/64. E-A-D. G string is. I'm gonna try lowering it just a little bit. This will be an experiment. So it's right below 4/64. The B string is at 4, so it needs to come down just a little bit. Okay, that brought it down. That's about right. And then the high E is sitting right at about 3/64. So that's about where you want it. So what happened with this guitar is the neck adjustment got out of adjustment a little bit, the neck relief. And so it had a little bit more relief than I wanted, and I actually straightened it. And when you straighten your neck relief, it will bring your strings down. So these actually got closer to the fretboard. So once you make the adjustment, what you want to do is tune it to pitch, and then play all the way up and down the neck to make sure you're not going to fret out anywhere. So like I said, I went pretty low, 3/64 of an inch string action off the 12th fret. So we are tuned to pitch, and then you just check everything out. So you can hear it buzz just a little bit. And that's not unexpected. 3/64 of an inch on the low E string is pretty low. Let's try the high E string. So far, so good. So the high E string is good. It rings out clear on every fret. I can bend it and it doesn't fret out. Maybe a little bit there. So I might want to bring it up just slightly. B string sounds good all the way up and down. So I think what happened is we flew just a little too close to the sun. I went a little too low. So I'm going to take my my driver here and I'm going to raise these strings just a tiny bit. So the high E string is probably fine. It's actually right at about 3/64. I'm just going to raise it because there was that, not that I bend notes a lot, that's not like the kind of player I am, but it did fret out just a tiny bit when I did that really big bend up around the 11, or you know, close to the maybe 15th fret. So I raised it a little bit. It's slightly over 3/64 of an inch now. The B string was fine. It's the same. The EAD G string is sitting right at 4/64. That's good. So I'm going to make these three lowest strings all 4/64 of an inch, which I had them slightly below that when I set it up earlier. So that should get rid of any of that buzzing. There we go. Now we're at 4/64 on the EAD and G strings and 3 on the B and the E. So you're going to want to tune to pitch. Any of these little adjustments will make your pitch on your guitar change. So you always want to adjust it. Especially if you raise the action, it'll go sharp. If you lower the action, it'll go flat. And you can make these adjustments under tension on most guitars, okay? All right, so I've got 4/64 of an inch action on the low strings, and then 3 on the higher strings. And if you go up and down the neck, everything rings out. So what you want to do then is check every string all the way up and down the neck and make sure there's no buzzing. If you run into an area where there is buzzing, what it might mean is you have a high fret or you need to do a fret level. You have a couple options there. One, you can take it to somebody who can do that work for you. The other option is you can just raise the action of your guitar a little bit. It's kind of a bummer because it's not going to be, you know, optimal where it, you know, the best it possibly could be, but it'll be pretty close. And depending on how high your fret is, or sometimes what you'll have is if you have, you know, dents in your fret from playing a lot, when you fret it on one of those dents or divots in the fret, it'll make it fret out from the one above it. So in that case, you probably want to take it to somebody to get a fret level and a fret dress. But that is how to set the string height on your guitar. Like I said, I like to shoot for 4/64 of an inch on the low bass strings, 3/64 of an inch on the high strings or the treble strings. In the next video, we're going to talk about how to set up intonation, which is extremely important. That means your guitar plays in tune all the way up and down the neck. See you then.